the Sustainability Management Master's Program, you are answering one simple question. Do you care about your future generation? If you care about your kids, their grandkids, then you care about sustainability. And a sustainability manager is someone who has the tools to make people understand how they can contribute towards developing a sustainable world. We have both part-time and full-time students. Our curriculum is 30 hours. Instead of thesis, we have a research project course and a seminar course which provides them with the kind of research background they will need to be successful in their job. At the same time, sustainability is not always everything about environment. It also relates to the business. They will take a sustainable business strategies course. They will take a project management course. Most of these courses are going to be taught by industry people, the people who are doing sustainability on a daily basis as a part of their job. Any organization that has a large number of employees and has a physical infrastructure, they will have to have a sustainability office. If you have the passion to develop and maintain a sustainable world, come to us and we will help you shape your passion into a career which will create an impact.
Thanks so much for inviting me to come and talk about something that I love talking about. You'll notice that when I'm very passionate, I talk really fast, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'd rather have this be kind of a dialogue between us. So I've been working for the town of Secaucus now for about 6 years, a little over 6 years now. And I want to share the story about how I got the job because I think many of you would be interested in the entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial aspects of the sustainability field, which is growing and growing every year. I came to the mayor of Secaucus, Mayor Michael Ganelli, who's very green, in the summer of 2010, and I had asked him if I can work on, is this working? Okay. I asked him if I can work on a few different projects as a volunteer for the community, and he loved the idea, so he hired me part-time in the summer before I went back to college. And I started a lot of small programs like tree planting programs, some cleanup projects, and a community garden. But then also began a few projects that were kind of more long-term. And so when I went back to college, they said, well, you got to come back and finish these things, so can you work part-time in college? So I did. And then when I graduated, we had so many different awards. We were bringing in a lot of money through sponsorships and donations and grants. We were saving lots of money. It was a no-brainer. My job pays for itself. So they actually created the position and hired me full-time after I graduated as their first environmental director. There's not many of me, people that have their sole job in the community is sustainability. I think last time we checked, there was maybe 7 or 8 communities that actually, out of 565 communities that are in New Jersey, about 7 or 8 of them have, someone that does this kind of work. I work very closely with Montclair, who has a sustainability director. His name is Gray Russell. They've had him for about 15 years now. They were really ahead of the game. But our mayor, I'm really lucky to live in a community where the mayor and council is very interested in sustainability. They want to learn how to become green, a green community, and they're very interested and very concerned about climate change as well. So it's very rare to find that in a local municipality, which is it's a medium-sized community, about 17 or 18,000 people. So the setup in Secaucus is one side of it's very residential, that's how it was developed, and the other side is more corporate, lots of warehouses. You may have heard about the Secaucus outlets. They're not really there so much anymore. But we have a large corporate community, a business community that we can reach out to a lot, which I'll talk about in a minute. But obviously, being in sustainability is working with absolutely everyone. It's like an all-hands-on-deck approach, I say. So I have, for the past few years, after working with Secaucus and realizing how critical it is that some communities need to do this kind of stuff, and they don't know the savings, and they don't know the importance, and they don't know how residents really love these kinds of projects, and it creates a sense of community. I have been approaching, communities in the local area, Bergen County, Hudson County, Essex County, to talk about what I do and what a sustainable community looks like and what it could look like for them. And I always talk about why you should be a sustainable community. Well, obviously, it does create a sense of community. A lot of the projects that we do, the projects that residents love, like the community gardens and the festivals and the educational series and events. People come together, they talk about these issues. There's intergenerational support. There's the senior garden club working with the toddlers who are learning how to, grow their own food and learning how a flower blooms. So it's a really great way of connecting the community together. And like I said before, it's an all hands on deck approach. There is no way that I would have been able to do any of these projects that I'm going to talk about without the help of the business community, with the local organizations, with the school district, and literally with every single department at the town hall. I work with the police department, with public works, I work with finance and HR, I work with health and construction and zoning, I work with everyone. Because sustainability should never be siloed. It's literally looking at your entire system and seeing ways to make it more efficient and better, and to include obviously what everyone talks about in sustainability: the environment, the economy, and society. Obviously, it shows your commitment to the future. Sustainability is all about long-term thinking. So if you are thinking about sustainability in your community, that shows as a mayor and council and administrator that you care about the community, you're investing, you're willing to invest your time in the community, and you're thinking ahead. That is not something that a lot of politicians in New Jersey really do. It's really about when the next term is, and when, 10 years from now is way too far away. I'll be gone by then. But our mayor and council really committed to this idea of thinking about the future and thinking about a 10-year plan and how can we invest in our future. There's a lot of savings involved. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the barriers to creating sustainable communities. One of the things that is even happening at the global level, which I hear about at the United Nations as a UN representative, is that the entire world thinks that if going green and implementing climate solutions and sustainability means spending a lot of money, and that's absolutely not true at all, and I'm about to prove it. I actually thought the same. I thought, okay, well, we're going to have to invest a certain amount of money. But honestly, with the savings that we received and with the money we've been able to bring into the community through the projects we've done, we're saving and we're bringing money into the community. I have not seen a case where we have, spent money for projects. Grants, I talked about that. We received hundreds of thousands of grants just this year alone. So that's how much money we're talking about. So I pay for myself. They're not paying me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this work. Certifications, I'll talk about that in a minute. Grant certifications and recognition is really what your mayor and council and town administrator really care about. So if you wanted to bring this to your community, talk about the grants that you get, talk about the certifications and the recognition all around the state that you get for this kind of stuff.
Are you going to talk a little bit more about the grants, like the kind of grants that can apply?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's like environmental organizations at the state level that do give grants, small grants for community gardens and rain gardens. You can look at ANJEC. I'm a board member for Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions, it stands for. They do a lot of like open space type grants or tree inventories or stuff like that, which gets the entire community engaged. We get a lot of grants from the DEP and also from our corporate community. So we have Walmart, we have TD Bank, we have PSE&G. What else have we received grants? I can't think of any other corporations right now. Oh, we have local developers in the community. Okay, we have a lot of development happening in our community, so we have an amazing star business, in our town called Secaucus Exchange. It's a luxury apartment complex that's right next to the train station. They are always looking to help us out. They fund our Green Festival every year. It's a very expensive Green Festival, and they do host us, and they also sponsor as well. So there's money in that way as well coming in through projects.
Next week, Jay Springer is coming here, from the 319 money, from DAP.
Oh, okay.
The non-point solution problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they basically give money to do all the, retrofits and stuff that.
Yeah, they just gave us a grant for $20,000. They gave us two actually, so for a $20,000 grant to put 5 electric vehicle charging stations in town. We're trying to encourage people to buy electric vehicles. So there will be 2 locations where people won't even be charged for electricity.
These are the grants that you can apply on behalf of the community.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not an individual grant.
Right, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. They just gave us a $30,000 grant to do a tree planting program because we're building butterfly gardens in this one location. We're building a new park. And we are going to be planting about 50 large caliber trees in town, and that makes a difference. That's increasing our tree canopy goal. So if you have any more questions about grants, though, I think I have another
So
slide
in
for
these,
that.
yeah, in these like grants, like can you have universities as partners, or can universities apply for this grants?
Grantees are always looking for opportunities to work with other people in the community to give funding, because that you get more outreach and also more impact. So absolutely, when I fill out a grant, we have a grant. We actually work with a grant writer in the town, depending on how many grants we get. I think it's an hourly rate that we work with them. But if I'm working with the school district, if I'm working with a local organization that does youth engagement, I know that I will have more of a chance of getting a grant that that I can apply for. So that's important. It's really important to engage other community stakeholders. So climate impact and resilience, especially after Hurricane Sandy, many of us were very concerned about what our communities were doing, especially flood-prone communities like Hoboken and Secaucus. Resiliency is very important for the future. That involves including more permeable surfaces. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We are developing ordinances now to get any new construction to be 30% green. We are figuring out how to work with developers to incentivize green design, because we're really concerned about, again, our flood. After Hurricane Sandy, many people in the streets were stopping me, asking me about climate change. So I guess when it happens in your backyard, then people become more concerned about it. And so sustainability is, a lot about climate resiliency. Sustainability is the future. So in many social movements, if you look back and look at many of the social movements we really care about as young people, what we see is that normally it starts at the higher education level. I don't know a single college now in the state of New Jersey that doesn't have some kind of environmental or sustainability program or office. And then it usually rolls out into the business community. And that's why a lot of corporations that we work with and buy services from and products from every day have sustainability departments. They have new chief sustainability officers. This is really a growing field. And now it's going to be rolled out into the local communities. And I know that it's a lot of communities in New Jersey are looking to go green. North Bergen's mayor actually just a couple of days ago spoke on TV about how he's actually, he put a rain garden program in with Tom Stampy there, their environmental guy. North Bergen, you don't really hear about sustainability in North Bergen, so that's amazing. And so it's the future. It's here it's here now, but this is it. Communities are going to have to do this because it's the solution to a lot of our problems. And I say sustainability is the answer because many of the problems, I've noticed, many of the problems that local municipalities face on a day-to-day basis can be solved using sustainability. A lot of the problems that we are facing as a country can be solved if we actually think long-term, if we actually look at both the social and environmental impacts of the things that we're doing. So that's why you should become a sustainable community. Okay. Town of Secaucus Green Initiative. So I just want to talk about some of the projects that we've done. Now we actually finished 26 projects this summer alone over the span of 3 months. So I didn't want to talk about all the projects we've done. You can look on our website. I'll have that at the end. But here's some of the ones that I think are very replicable and a lot of communities are interested in. So first, we are a silver certified community. That is, I don't know if you know what Sustainable Jersey is. Sustainable Jersey is an organization that basically has a sort of point system for a certain amount of projects in your community that you can get certification for. So if you do like 150 points worth of projects, you can be a bronze certified community. If you do 350, you can be a silver certified community, and that's the highest level actually. So it's actually a very successful program. If you look on their website, you can see whether or not your community is involved in this. There's 565 or 55 communities in New Jersey, and 500 communities are enrolled in this program. So we have the highest level of certification. That's about 30 to 35 communities have that in the state. So it took us a long time to get that, but we're proud of it. Community gardens and rain gardens is basically, that was my first project that I did in the community gardens. That's basically a way a lot of people kind of dip their toes in the water, see if they can do this in their community, see if residents really care about it, see if the mayor and council take notice. So whenever young people ask about, what can I do in their community, I say, well, if you have some land, start a community garden and start to get people there and to talk about it, because it's very visible and you get to engage a lot of different stakeholders in your community. So we have about 2 community gardens. One actually has 54 plots. Sea Caucus Exchange, I mentioned them before. They really wanted to work with our community, so I asked them to, if they would be interested in putting together a community garden, and we showed up and there was 54 plots, so it was pretty amazing. So I don't know if that could be something that could happen potentially here in Hoboken or in your communities. We have solar on our municipal buildings, on our town hall, and on our Department of Public Works, and our high school and middle school. So 30% of our energy at the town hall comes from our solar panels. And I actually today brought our smart car. It's electric, fully electric. I have a picture of it. And we charge that up, and 30% of that energy that we charge with that is coming from the solar panels. So that's pretty cool. We are figuring out ways to work with our school district. Obviously, we have to engage the youth in the community. They're the next generation. So I speak to the kids. Sometimes I dress up like Captain Planet. I think I have a picture. And talk to the kids about carbon footprints and how to understand climate change a little better. And then I speak to the larger students about carbon footprints and climate change and careers and sustainability and why it's important. We have the highest recycling rate in Hudson County. I believe we recycle about 80% of our waste at the moment. We really hope to be a zero waste community one day. We are looking for ways right now to work with a company called Community Compost Company. It's a woman-owned small type of organization business that helps communities to get to develop a residential compost program. But we right now we've already finished a food waste recycling pilot at the school district. So we just got a $25,000 grant from the DEP to buy a large rocket composter. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. They're going to be recycling their food waste at the schools. We recycle also like really strange things, like we have boxes to capture batteries everywhere in town, and we also recycle cartons. Apparently that's not something people recycle a lot, but it's very recyclable. We take a protection of natural resources very seriously, obviously, because we own hundreds of acres of wetlands. I'll talk about that in a minute. We are trying to figure out how much energy we're using at the municipal level, so we're doing energy audits on some municipal buildings at the moment. We're doing town-wide campaigns to protect wildlife and reduce waste. I'll talk about that in a sec. We have rolled out a green restaurant and business certification program. I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. And then we're a Tree City USA. We've been for 21 years. We actually we plant about 100 to 200 trees a year actually in our community. It's all in an effort to try and increase our tree canopy goal. We know it's very important. We don't like heat islands. We want to save energy. So there's so many different aspects to planting trees in your community, why it's important. But we just did an iTree program, used iTree software to find out the economic value of the trees that we have in town, and it was pretty amazing. It bases it upon stormwater management, about energy, about environmental, all types of environmental reasons. So you can, if you wanted to find that out, it's very interesting. You could do a tree inventory and enter the data into iTree and find that information out. And it becomes a lot easier to talk to residents about why they can't cut down that tree, because it costs. It's a $1,000 tree according to this data. So obviously there's social and environmental and economic impacts to our society. That's what sustainability is all about. It's about striking that balance in between all those very important things in our community, in our society. So I kind of broke it down to social and economic and environmental. Public education and outreach is something that needs to happen in any kind of sustainability program, because we want our residents to be, just educated on some of the issues that they should really know about, whether it be water issues, whether it be national issues, and it really has helped us to take a stand on a lot of really controversial environmental issues, which I'll talk about later on as a community, because if we care about sustainability, we also have to say we don't stand for a lot of things that are happening in our state and in our country in terms of harming the environment. Green Festival, we have a Green Festival every year. I talked about this. About 3,000 to 5,000 people show up at this festival, and it's basically a bunch of vendors, local vendors that either have some type of environmental service or some kind of sustainably sourced products. But we also have a big presenters tent where presenters come in and out all day for an hour presentations, and they talk about all different sorts of things, whether it be endangered animals, whether it be climate change, whether it be composting and beekeeping. So residents, every year they look forward to, that's me as Captain Planet, that's what I talk about to the kids. That's not part of my job description, I just show up as Captain Planet to work sometimes. We also do a lot of campaigns. I think it's very important to kind of engage the public in taking action on something. So the most recent campaign that we did was we're actually revamping our ban on Styrofoam, so we're trying to get people to use their own cups when they go to Dunkin' Donuts. I'll talk about that in a minute. But we're also doing a bee and bat pollinators program, so I'll talk about that in a minute. And then of course engaging youth. We do a lot of projects and we always invite young people to get involved. But one thing that we have recently done was, the past 2 years actually, we've been doing it every summer the past 2 years, is an environmental youth camp where for 4 days we take young kids ages 6 to 8 and we take them on a field trip to recycling centers, to environmental centers, to learn about agriculture. We take them to farms so they can actually see what a farm looks like. And that's been a very successful program that the mayor wants us to expand. Okay, so there's a lot of economic impacts to the community as well. So savings, I talked about this. We have solar on our town hall and a few other locations in town, and we're noticing that we're saving money. We have 2 smart cars. So a couple of years ago, what we tried to do was create a fleet inventory so that we can decide, which cars we wanted to swap out, which ones were too old, which ones were kind of gas guzzling. And what we noticed was a cop car actually costs between $600 to $800 a month in gasoline. That's one. So, if you can imagine larger communities that have many. So we figured, okay, let's look at our fleet and figure out where we can get hybrid cars. Parking enforcement, maybe the recycling coordinator can get a smart, a better efficient car. So we actually leased these 2 cars because we know that leasing an electric car is kind of better because the batteries get better in a couple of years and the storage gets better. So we have 2 of these. Sometimes they say I drive around a pistachio in town, but it gives us a lot of visibility and people ask questions about it and they're really interested in it. So we've been able to save money. I think it's like $7 or something like that to charge a car for 8 hours or something like that, but I think this only takes 4 or 3 hours to charge, to fully charge. It's a small car. And it's safe, it's fine.
Did you drive one of these today?
Yes, I drove here. It's in the
didn't
8th Street
even
parking
need
lot.
special parking for that, we have some dedicated parking for these cars.
Yeah, so if you can see the green stripes too here, this is dedicated parking for electric vehicles at the town hall. Yeah, and behind here is the charging station. So you'll see more of those in Secaucus.
In Stevens, we are putting 2 charging stations.
The 8th Street lot, right?
No, not in the 8th Street lot actually. 8th Street lot?
8th Street lot.
Okay, I thought that they're doing it in that Griffith building, next to the Griffith building.
I got an email about 8th Street because I parked
Okay,
there.
and it's even better.
Oh, the more the merrier. Does anyone have any electric vehicles on campus, have you noticed?
I don't know if they changed their fleet or not, but
okay.
they're encouraging people to use electric vehicles. So if you're a Stevens employee, you're charging it for free.
Oh, that's
First year
great.
they said it'd be free. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to do, a couple of ours is going to be free. And, we're just looking right now into regulation. How long do we want to keep, a vehicle on a spot for how long and how much can we charge them and all this stuff. This is all government, what government has to deal with when this kind of stuff happens. But if anyone needs any help in their communities, we are rolling out an ordinance, so I can send it to you if you're interested. So one of the ways that I think we can achieve global sustainability is localizing our economies. This is something that the United Nations also talks about. Localizing our economy, keeping the money in our community, will bring more sustainability to the community. So what we try to do is strengthen our business community. You know, sustainability is, I said it was a solution to a lot of the problems in the community, but literally it's about, you know, how do we strengthen our local economy? How do we become a more attractive community for new residents and new businesses? And how do we figure out a way to protect the health and well-being of the residents in our community? These are all things that municipalities talk about on a daily basis, and these are all things that can help with that. So we work with our business community. This is we do corporate cleanups every single year. A lot of our corporations have a certain amount of volunteer hours for their host community. So this is Schneider Electric. We have a cleanup coordinator that works for the environmental department, and she basically organizes corporations to come and clean up. I think she organized 30 cleanups this summer, and so far they've eliminated about 400 tons of trash from the town of Secaucus. So that's amazing. And there's a lot of illegal dumping in the wetlands and stuff like that. That's how that happens. A lot of tires and construction material and body, you know, auto parts. I was going to say body parts. So that's a really cool program that we have going on. And now, yeah, you never know, I know. And now Schneider Electric, now whenever they want to get engaged with the community, they come and talk to us, the environmental department, to do that. So that's great. We also rolled out a green restaurant and business certification program. So this is our first certified green business. This is Sweet and Flower. They have their pastries and coffee shop, basically. But she's a woman-owned small business, very, very awesome. I think someone in the audience graduated with her, so we're proud of her. But basically, it's a point system. If you do a certain amount of things, then you get, you know, this certification. And then when a certain amount gets certified, we're going to encourage residents to shop 1 day or 2 days a year at, you know, a local certified business or restaurant. So basically, if you have green cleaning products, if you don't use a lot of water, if you have electric vehicles as your delivery, for your delivery service, stuff like that. And she said that she's been getting a lot of people coming and saying how cool that program is, so that's pretty cool too. If anyone serves Styrofoam, by the way, they're automatically disqualified, obviously. So environmental aspects. So we do a lot of protection of the wetlands. We noticed during Hurricane Sandy, if we didn't have the wetlands, which really acts as a buffer for storm surge, I mean, I don't even know what our town would look like, and Moonachie and East Rutherford would have looked like. So not only does it filter the water and is a habitat for many animals, but it's actually a critical location for migratory birds. So this is a protected area, and we want to make sure that it's clean, and it actually has, they've been saying it's making a comeback. A lot of the Phragmites, which a lot of people think is a non-native plant species, is kind of being taken over by the Spartina grass, which is the more native, more environmentally eco-friendly grass that is more, native to the wetlands. So we have a lot of really cool things going on with that. We have a lot of open space. We have 26 parks, or 28 parks actually, in Secaucus. So we try to get people out there and going to the parks. We do a lot of public access projects and passive recreation projects in our parks, so people actually show up and want to protect these open spaces. This is actually a picture of our rain garden in one of our parks in Secaucus. It's a beautiful park, Mill Creek Point Park. This is the start of a greenway trail that goes 1.7 miles, and it goes along the Hackensack River. It's very beautiful, actually. People from all over that do bird watching, they literally come to this park in Secaucus to bird watch, to find the snowy owl, which comes like there's like a certain month of the year that it comes. I think it's in January, actually. So, and also we are doing wildlife protection programs. We actually have ordinances, very strict ordinances to protect wildlife. We have a very good trap and release program for feral cats. I think a lot of communities deal with feral cats as a problem. But we have a good trap and release program. We have an amazing animal shelter. It's a no-kill shelter. And we have a bee and bat program. We are encouraging residents, if they have a south-facing part of their house, to put a bat house up. We have about 6 bat houses we're going to be giving away to residents soon. And we also have bees, so we have about 60 to 80,000 honeybees in Secaucus starting. We started the program in June, I believe. And we have about 80 jars of honey now that we're selling, and we're bringing that money back into the community and continuing the bee program. And if you ever want advice on bees, this guy, Antonio Quinlan, in the yellow shirt, literally like hanging out with the bees with no equipment on at all, he is fantastic. He does the bee program at High Tech School, and he also does it for North Bergen. He actually has bees in his front lawn that no one's even complained about too, so that's amazing. And I don't know if you know, but honeybees have just been placed on the endangered species list. So it's very important that we protect our honeybees and people are actually noticing in the area, finally my fruits and veggies are getting pollinated. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so we also take a stand, like I said, we're a very active community. We also take a stand on things that we don't appreciate. Okay, so when we heard that fracking waste was coming in, radioactive, highly toxic fracking waste was coming in from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, they were talking about sending the toxic waste to New Jersey. We immediately passed a resolution in 2012 to ban fracking in Secaucus and ban fracking waste. Now, they were not going to be fracking in Secaucus. I think if there is shale, I think it's at the very south tip of the state. But we wanted to take a stance on it and make sure that they knew that Secaucus, which is a sustainable community, does not, we don't want fracking waste. Does anyone know what fracking is? Okay. We also support the ban we passed a resolution to support the ban on antibiotics in our meat. This was actually a bill that was going through the assembly at some point in 2014. Obviously, there's a lot of sustainability reasons why antibiotics in meat is very bad. But also, even at the UN level, they're talking about antibiotic resistance. And that's actually a huge problem that global doctors are trying to figure out how to fix, including WHO. So we don't want that in our meat. We also we passed a resolution to support RGGI. RGGI is the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. This is something that the state of New Jersey, along with 10 other states in the Northeast area, was engaged in. Governor Christie took us out of RGGI in 2012. Basically what it was is if a polluter in New Jersey went over a certain amount, emitted a certain amount of carbon dioxide that was above the limit, they had to pay a fine. And that fine would go into the general budget. It wouldn't even go into clean energy programs. I'm not sure why Governor Christie removed us from it. But it actually was working. We were saving hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon emissions going into our atmosphere in New Jersey, which is obviously very needed. So we passed a resolution saying that we wanted that. We banned Styrofoam. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Like I said before, any new development must be at least 30% green. By that I mean permeable surfaces, places to plant, trees and plants and stuff like that. And then we banned the use of tropical hardwoods in any kind of construction that we do in Secaucus, because obviously the tropical rainforest is very important and they're lungs of our planet. So we can't be cutting down trees to make sidewalks, like they think they did in South Jersey. But I want to just talk. You want to have a question?
Yeah, like when you talk about supporting the ban on antibiotics,
Yes.
like you are basically collecting a bunch of signatures from the residents and in support of the resolution that's taken in the House, right?
So normally what we do is we do a press release, we talk to the public about this issue, this problem, and then I present it to the mayor and council, and if they believe in it as well, they pass the resolution, and then I give that resolution to local organizations or state organizations that are working on that issue to support their cause.
Okay.
So actually a lot of communities passed that resolution, as well as the ban on fracking and fracking waste and the support for RGGI.
So when you,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm just wondering how to ban on fracking, because is it the fracking of the pipes that under the civil level?
Yeah, so they frack under the ocean for oil, but what I'm talking about is they also frack for natural gas. Yeah, so they frack the shale in Pennsylvania. They have like over 300,000 wells in Pennsylvania, and all this toxic waste is coming up, and they figure, we can send it to New Jersey. It's the most, brownfield-ridden community
So
state in the
it's
country.
avoid to get that fuel into Secaucus, or like to shut down all the field. I just wondering how to ban on, because it seems that unavoidable to avoid fracking of the pipes.
Yeah, so, okay, so basically we have a wastewater treatment plant in Secaucus, and it's already at capacity, and we're seeing that happening in a lot of communities. If we bring in this radioactive toxic waste, there's no way that many communities are going to be able to handle this, which is what they had planned on doing. So we wanted to take a stance on saying that we are not a community. We have a wastewater treatment facility. We are not committing to, taking in toxic waste.
Do you know if the New Jersey Congress did anything about Christie taking Reggie out?
No, but you know what? The many assemblymen and senators are sponsoring the same bill that goes. He keeps pocket vetoing the.
Okay, that
the
is
bill.
what I thought.
Yeah. He's saying it doesn't work and we don't need it. But if we're making money from it, I don't see why.
You lose votes.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, by the way, Christie does have stock in natural gas, so that's probably why we won't get a ban on fracking in New Jersey. Anyway, so we banned styrofoam, and this is a very interesting story, and I think I told it a little bit before the presentation. We banned the use of styrofoam is the trademark name for polystyrene. We think it's a single-use item. We existed without it, and the one thing that we find most in the Hackensack River is bottled water and styrofoam cups from Dunkin' Donuts, actually. I don't want to mention the name. Thank you, Dunkin' Donuts. Anyway, so for 2 weeks, they actually did get rid of their styrofoam, the Dunkin' Donuts in Secaucus. They did. And then 2 weeks later, they changed back to styrofoam. And we asked them why, and apparently they got a visit from the American Chemistry Council. The American Chemistry Council is the largest petroleum lobbyist firm in the country. They're very, very powerful. They represent the oil companies. And the American Chemistry Council represents Dart Container Corporation. That's the corporation that makes these cups and a lot of other styrofoam shells that you see at restaurants and stuff like this. So they came into our community several times threatening us to get rid of this resolution because they thought it was going to catch on to other communities. And they had a long list of reasons why we need styrofoam, including it actually keeps your cup warmer for 3 more minutes or something like that. And when we said that we wanted to get rid of this item because we are living in a community where we are seeing this litter in the river, and we use this product for 20 minutes and it lasts for 700 years on the planet, they said that people are barbaric and they're going to throw anything out the window, whether or not it's a paper cup or a styrofoam cup. And then their reasoning behind, this is amazing, their reasoning behind why styrofoam was more environmentally friendly was because you don't have to go and buy another cup. You could just put it in the microwave and heat it up or something like that. I don't know what their purpose was about saying that either. But, so basically, the mayor actually kicked him out of the office after a while. They said they'll come back here again. Because we can, as a community, by the way, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do this kind of stuff. They have no right to come in and do that. They even threatened they even said you should get rid of this girl working for you. No, I almost lost my job. But actually, no, I didn't. But in 2011, that was basically when I first started working, and I was like, oh my goodness, am I gonna have to keep running into these kind of issues for such a small community to have this huge lobbying firm to come and pick on us? Luckily, it hasn't happened again, but I want to talk about it as much as possible so other communities can do the same thing.
So is it actually banned on styrofoam or on that generic name of it?
It's a ban on polystyrene.
Okay.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the resolution. I just
Okay.
figured,
Just no one knows what polystyrene is. So
Yeah.
you just say styrofoam. Yeah. Okay.
Educational component there too. I mean, the styrofoam ended in the Hackensack River is because the people put it there, not because of the styrofoam itself. I mean, I'm not defending the styrofoam,
Yeah.
but it's personal decisions that also make something bad much worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Education is the root.
I mean, you have a problem because you see it where it shouldn't be.
Yes.
I mean, and that will happen with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
That you don't attack the root problem, that is what the people does. I mean, you will still popping problems with things that are benign, but accumulation will make it not so benign or even bad.
Yes. We do a lot of anti-litter campaigns in Secaucus. The problem with styrofoam is that it's very light and can travel with the wind, and I think it just gets everywhere. Also, it's not recycled in the state. If we don't recycle it, then it shouldn't be made, type of thing. But you're right. We do a lot of cleanups along the Hackensack River. We work with the Hackensack River Keeper. that is based in our community as well in Hackensack too. I think he is. And we do cleanups all the time to the river. So
In a place when you have 80% recycle of your waste,
yeah.
I mean, that it should be something that it can be collected and sent to the proper place to recycle. You don't have the issue anymore because you won.
Yeah.
But
Well, we still have the issue. So we still have restaurants that have styrofoam, and so we're revisiting the campaign to go and reach out to do it again. Outback Steakhouse in town actually got rid of styrofoam. They were the first in the nation to do that. Major League Baseball is in the channel is in Secaucus. They got rid of all their styrofoam in their cafeteria. And like I said, Dunkin' Donuts can do it. It's just that they're now being pushed to use the styrofoam by Dart Container Corporation, which is unfortunate. But what we tell residents to do actually is when they go to Dunkin' Donuts and they want a coffee, to order their coffee, that's larger than a small in a latte cup, because that comes in a paper for some reason. So that's a trick if you want to tell people that.
Yeah, styrofoam is just an example, right? Like again, the root cause is ignorance. And that's why we need more champions for sustainability to go out and preach it, to the common people. And that's what our office, I guess, is doing, right?
Yeah, we're trying.
This is like picking on styrofoam as one of the major examples, a culprit.
Yes.
But again, there are numerous other products that can be.
Yeah. I mean,
It also brings a lot of awareness too when someone goes to that Starbucks or that
yeah.
that Dunkin' Donuts is like, oh, why am I not getting styrofoam or what, someplace that isn't? Because people will consume whatever's easy for them to consume, and whatever they get more used to. Think how long it took the green bags to catch on, and now places are banning plastic bags, so then people are now being forced to. But it's whatever we make convenient for someone, they're going to use. So
Yes.
sometimes you have to make things convenient so they open their eyes to things that aren't good.
Yes. And if you notice, this resolution was actually passed when I first started working for Secaucus. The mayor really, 10 minutes? Okay, I'm done. The mayor really wanted to show off that he created this environmental department and also do something very drastic to get the public to know, okay, we're going to be doing some awesome environmental projects now. So he fully supported this ban on styrofoam. It was his idea. And we're still, like I said, we're still working on it. But, styrofoam is unfortunately cheaper than than paper products. And the reason
Plastic is
why,
bad.
yeah, plastic's bad. But the reason why it is well, at least plastic can be recycled, But the reason why is because petroleum is subsidized. So if it wasn't, I think it would be a lot more expensive than the recycled paper products. So we're still working on that. Okay, so this is my last slide. So barriers to sustainable communities in New Jersey. So I've been working for local government and seeing what's happening at the county and state level in New Jersey. And here are some of the things that I have realized, I have recognized as barriers. One is just plain old politics. I mean, I live in Hudson County. We live in Hudson County. Most of us do, at least. I think politics actually has been squashing a lot of innovation in New Jersey, and it's just how it is, I guess. But the important thing is to reach out to your legislators and let them know that this is really important to you and that they're not going to get elected again if they don't do X, Y, and Z. Which brings me to the point of, again, people really need to vote. Something that I've noticed in working, I've worked at some of the voting polls in the local area, especially in Secaucus, and I mean, I'm probably one of like 10 people on like local election voting day in my town that votes that's below the age of like 40. So we got to get out there and vote because these people are making really important decisions for us that are affecting our lives. Okay, sorry, too much. I'll talk about my politics. Lack of understanding. Communities literally think that it costs too much money and it would take too many resources. So education, again, is something that's very important. It's not a priority for some communities. Sometimes there are some communities dealing with crime and violence or poverty-stricken communities. If they get any money from the state or if they get any funding for anything, it goes right into those kind of programs. But what I would say is, if they're having crime and violence and poverty-stricken communities, then they're not looking at the fundamental reasons why that's happening, and sustainability can help. So again, lack of education on some of the things that are that sustainability can solve. And then resistance to change, and I think this exists a lot in New Jersey, but not only at the community level, but also at like the business level. You get into a certain rhythm, and you don't want to change, and no, I don't want. We're fine. We're a great community. We don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But again, education is something really important. Look at what your community could look like, what it could be like, and how you can really engage community stakeholders. So the good thing is that we can make a difference. All of those barriers can be tackled with just education and talking to people about these things and going back to your mayor and council administrators and talking about this. If you're interested in learning about our projects, you can just check out ccaucusnj.gov. That lists all the projects with descriptions on them. So the 26 projects I was talking about, that's on there at the moment. You can look up your community at sustainablejersey.com. I think I talked about that before. To learn about, even contacts that you should reach out to in your community and what kind of projects they have going on. And if they're certified, if they're not, you can bring that idea to them because they get money. And get involved in your communities. And if you need any help at all with that, here's my information. I'm linked to many environmental organizations in the state, and businesses that are committing to sustainability, and I'm constantly looking at interesting jobs to send people. Also, by the way, I made a list of links, 12 or 15 links of really awesome sites to look at for sustainability jobs that really are cool. So I would be glad to help anyone out, and that's my information. Thank you.